So, usually I don't care about the Oscars or Academy Awards or pretty much any awards, but I could definitely see why they gave One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest like five Oscars. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing, Best Actor, Best Actress. Like, yeah, I think they deserved it that year. One of the most iconic films of the 70s and all time, and it's definitely for good reason. I think this movie's great. I saw it last week because my movie theater was playing it for the 50th anniversary. I've seen it once in high school, but it's been a while, so it's nice revisiting this movie. Um, it follows Jack Nicholson, who plays McMurphy, who got arrested for having sex with a teenager, which is a little bizarre. That was supposed to do it for this guy. Well, anyway, he gets arrested, and instead of going to prison, he fakes insanity and gets sent to a mental asylum. And this is the 1960s, a time where mental patients were not treated with respect, treated like subhumans. I believe it's much different now because advances in understanding of mentally ill people. But he thinks him staying in the asylum will be easier than staying in prison. So he finds out that it's not it's not as easy as he thought it would be. This cast is filled with stars. Like most of them weren't even famous at that point. Christopher Lloyd plays a patient. Danny DeVito's in it. A very very young Brad Dourif, who, as we all know, played Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. And the Norse Ratchet is one of the most interesting villains I've ever seen. Played brilliantly by Louise Fletcher, who it's kind of a shame how she didn't have much of a career after this. I think she was in Star Trek, but like besides that, you would think with her winning an Oscar, she'd be like a huge actress, but I guess not. I don't know. Maybe maybe she just wanted to spend time with family or something. I don't really know the behind the scenes details. Anyway, McMurphy decides that this place is very authoritarian, very dedicated to following the rules, and he's a natural rebellious guy, so he likes to, play pranks and turn the other patients kind of against the authority. So it's a very punk rock movie, if you will. Very allegorical tale of or symbolic of rising up against a authoritarian regime, but it's much less on the nose than say 1984 or Flame for Fahrenheit 451. I don't like those dystopian books. I think they're too on the nose. This one is truly great. It has a very bleak ending, bittersweet ending, I suppose. But a lot of the movie is also very comical. There's moments that make me laugh. There's moments that make me cry, especially with Billy. Nicholson is amazing here. I don't know if this was his first major role, if he's done other stuff. I'm not really sure on the chronology of that. But fun fact, one of the girls is played by the black guy from The Shining is in this as well, which I think is kind of funny. So that's two Shining cast members. I like the scenes where he's kind of lifting the patients up and showing them like just because you're mentally ill doesn't mean you're any lesser than us. Everybody's got problems. Like he teaches them to be a little bit more confident in themselves. And I like the boat trip is a prime example of that. They actually get to feel like human beings for once. But despite all this, there's a scene in this movie where his spirit is broken. Like when he's like, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna lift this rattle fountain off the ground and break through the wall. And everybody's like, you can't do that. And yeah, of course he isn't able to do that. Um, it's you feel bad for him. You can't help but feel bad for him in that moment, and it's so symbolic of the system itself. McMurphy comes off as a very obnoxious character, but moments like that show real sense of humanity to him. Momo, do you want to get up there? What do you think of the movie, Momo? He thinks it's really good. reason I don't rewatch this movie that often is the very sad ending about what happens to Billy. Um, it's just kind of hard to watch and it's devastating because the whole time you're really rooting for him. He's this very insecure, depressed guy who has severe mommy issues, and you just want him to get better. And he finally does something like, he has sex with a hooker, which isn't exactly like congratulatory, but at least he feels somewhat normal. And just when he gets a little bit of confidence, Nurse Ratchet comes in and takes it away, and it's very, very heartbreaking. He then kills himself, and it's very sad because he was so close to having a breakthrough. That's the problem with Nurse Ratchet. He doesn't care about actually helping our patients. He just likes having control over them. So he wants them to all line up like little soldiers and do her bidding, basically. Um, which, man, I'm glad I haven't met any nurses like that, because you honestly can't blame Jack Nicholson when he starts strangling her. Like, is it a little excessive? Yeah, but you could kind of see what led him to do that. And him getting lobotomized at the end of the movie is so tragic because he was the one with the most, I guess, independent spirit, and now him being reduced to a vegetable is just so sad to see. Um, and the ending of the movie where Chief takes him out of his misery and escapes is so bittersweet and triumphant. Is Chief gonna get taken back pretty quickly? We don't know, because how far could he really go on his own with just himself? That is left to the viewer's interpretation, and I think that's for a good reason. He's finally escapes the shackles of this asylum. How long, we don't know, but the fact that he escaped, I like to think that he made it out, like, full forever, found some freedom. So, yeah, overall, very good movie. Very depressing movie, but still a really good movie. Something I want to add though, there was an episode of House, season 6, episode 1, Broken, where House is in a mental hospital. But that's actually more of a positive experience. And I think that's a very important piece of television because it shows how far mental hospitals have evolved since the 1960s. This is like, what, 40 years later, maybe 50 years later. I think that's positive. So if any of you are bummed out by the ending of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I recommend you watch the season 6 premiere of House called Broken. It's probably one of the best episodes of the show, to get a little bit more positive view of mental hospitals. So let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Do you think it's a classic? I think it's a classic. Um, it has a perfect script, acting, directing, cinematography, soundtrack. There's really nothing more I could ask for. And I wish more movies today kind of took chances like this, but be more daring. This movie doesn't have a huge budget, and I think that works in its favor. It relies more on the script than it does on all of these crazy special effects. Like, I've been saying this for a while. Why does Hollywood make these $200 million movies when they could just make five $40 million movies? I think those would be better, for being honest. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys next time. We'll be talking more about Doctor Who, so if I haven't done that enough. Okay, peace.